the season, and it is finished all level. Manchester City 2, Liverpool 2 here at the Etihad Stadium. And to get into all of that, I'm joined by David James and Shaun Jota. David, we couldn't quite get the 3 points, but what a game that was.
Wow. Do you know what? The crazy thing is when people were saying before the game, which way is it going to go? It's going to sit on the fence and it's going to be a draw. What a game of football. I mean, that was literally end to end. Fantastic bits of skill. The odd mistake, which was capitalised by fantastic skill. That's one of the best draws I think I've ever seen.
I think I'd agree with you. Would you agree, Shaun?
Absolutely magnificent by both teams, really. I mean, when we talk about the Premier League being the best league, well, that's a display of why. I mean, you're talking about of the highest quality, the passing, the dribbling, the pace of passing, in small little areas, receiving the ball on the back foot, turning out. Just so many great things about this game. The ability to keep possession, the ability to counter-attack. I mean, both teams really added to this. It was absolutely a brilliant game.
Does it kind of feel, in a way, it's a great example of what the season has been for both of these teams, neck and neck, still 1 point in it. They very much kind of just are operating on the same frequency, would seem, and we kind of watched that over the 90 minutes, didn't we, David?
Yeah, and that's the thing, when you've got the two best teams, and like I said, the lineup for Pep was going for it.
Yes.
They, leading at half time. Liverpool made changes, whatever, but right at the end there, Mahrez. The fact that, and I think that was the best thing, the fact that Mahrez has that opportunity late on meant that City weren't content with a draw.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about the game. You've got two teams who only know really how to win games of football. They can't play out the ball draws in the Premier League. And even though it's a draw, what we saw was two teams trying to win a game of football. It's a fantastic advert for both of them and for the Premier League. Wow, what a game.
It really, really was. And I think as well, that's exactly how I think football should be played. That's how we want it to be played. We can see there, that is how the Premier League table looks like at the moment. And so all, after 31 games each, still 1 point ahead of Liverpool. And Raheem Sterling is still top of the league for now. Shaun, let's talk about, obviously, that start to the second half. It wasn't quite where Manchester City intended. Liverpool came out fast and they got that equaliser kind of more or less straight away, which was a shame.
Yes, well, this is what they're able to do. If you switch off for one moment, it's also good play. Salah receives the ball, and his pass to Mane, it's just spot on. Mane is there. He's finishing this off, and that's the thing for Liverpool to start so well in the second half. For them is exactly what they wanted, and it's the worst thing that City wanted.
Yeah.
They wanted City to come out, in the second half for the first 10-15 minutes and then get into the rhythm. But a brilliant goal, certainly by Liverpool.
It was a great finish. Could City have defended it better, do you think, David, or was it a touch of class?
Well, I have to say I actually missed it because I was trying to grab some water. But I mean, the one thing, we're enjoying or rejoicing the fact that was a wonderful game of football from a spectator's point of view, from a competitive point of view. But both managers will say, why did we start the first half so badly, Liverpool, and why did we start the second half badly, Manchester City? Because in the end, either one of them would have completely changed the game.
Yeah.
Of course, any goal could be defended better. But it's just, I think, again, in a flip side, how good these teams are.
Yeah.
Like Shaun said, if you switch off for a second, there's enough quality on that football pitch to punish you. You saw Liverpool switch off for the free kick. You saw Man City switch off there in the first 30-odd seconds. Yeah. And the game's back at even. And we're saying who's going to win the league? Well, it's the same as it was this morning. Just one more game gone.
Yeah. It was. I think it was 47 seconds into the second half.
I mean, and again, this happens. This can happen in any game.
Yeah.
But what we saw today, with little mistakes, and then the opposition just pouncing on it straight away, and then sometimes the quality of defending to get that mistake counteracted. I mean, It was just. it was like basketball at times.
It was at times. And I mean, after that equalised though, and not for one for trying, Shaun, but we really did try and get that goal as Liverpool did, and we came close a few times, and maybe we're a bit lucky not to find a winner.
Yes, a couple of times we've come very close. We're moving the ball. We're getting up in that final third. I mean, even right towards the end, you got Mahrez that has the shot and sort of hits the post. I'm not sure if Mahrez, but
down the right.
Yeah, just so many situations, and you sort of nearly. I'm going ballistic up there thinking, is it in? Is it in? Again, the quality, and we're talking. That's 6 inches. 6 inches the other side of the post that goes in. Both teams really going for it.
Fractions and fine margins, isn't it? And I guess when you are kind of playing at this level with that quality, that is literally what it comes down to. And as you've kind of said, when it happens, they're the moments that count.
Yeah, I mean, the one that springs to mind is obviously Raheem Sterling's disallowed goal for offside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's half a shoulder. Then Mahrez's free kick, which hits the post.
Yeah.
I think the one you're referring to is when Jesus got down and shot into the near post.
Yeah.
I mean, there was loads of opportunities. Edison's made a save in the second half as well. I mean, it's what you want. I mean, my concern before the game was that it was going to cancel each other out, and it was going to be like a really slow tactical game. But that went out the window after 3 minutes. So it was fortunately, I mean, it's just. What a game.
What a game. And I guess, Shaun, we would have liked to maybe have increased, our lead at the top of the table to 4 points. But I guess actually it's important to remember, nothing gained, nothing lost. And you'd rather be a point ahead with, I think it's, 7 games to go now.
Yeah, exactly. And looking at the end of the game, we're looking and saying, well, do you know what? 7 games to go. City, you win your games, you're in control of it.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, this is what City would have wanted. Yes, they would have loved to have gotten 3 points today, but to still being in control of this situation. People look at games and say, well, Liverpool have these slighter, more difficult games. Listen, Premier League, every game is difficult because we've dropped points at Crystal Palace, Southampton. We've dropped points at these sort of places, so they're all going to be difficult. But City are well within have the capability to go on and win the remaining games, and so does Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is, what does a draw mean? I mean, we look at the table; it's the same as it was this morning, so there's no real change there. But what City have done is stop Liverpool's winning run.
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, that asks the question, hang on a minute, we can't win every game of football. Does that become a bigger question in the remaining games?
Interesting.
Do opposition look at it and say, hang on a minute, this team aren't the team that win every game?
Yeah.
These winning runs always come to an end. It depends how it ends and depends how you react afterwards from Liverpool. So, of course, if had City won, 4 points clear, but they haven't. But what they have done, as I say, is stops this machine from continuing to roll forward.
It's a great point. I mean, we'll mention Atletico in a second, but we also now can't help but then look to next weekend, FA Cup semi-final against Liverpool. We go again.
Extra time.
Does this have a bearing on that game, Shaun? Do you think there'll be things learned and then they'll maybe put it into practice in the game, or can you just see it very much being what we've seen here again over 90 minutes?
Well, I think there'll be some things learned. I mean, I think City coped very well with keeping Salah to a certain degree relatively quiet and keeping him on his right foot, because again, we know when he comes in on his left foot what qualities he has. So I thought, we played Salah pretty well in terms of if he's allowed more space and time or to come onto his left foot, he can really cause damage. So I think how we cope with that, thinking throughout the game, for the most part, I think we're very pleased. It's that counter-attack, and sometimes it's difficult because you're in that attacking mode, you transition, and then they go one pass, 2 passes, and then they're looking to put a play in, and it's not very much you can do when you're in possession because you're normally spread and you're wide. So not a lot he'll take. I think it'll be very much similar. You look at it and think, you know what, can we go and repeat the same thing?
Yeah. Would you agree with that, David, as well? Yeah.
Yeah, well, put it this way. If either team doesn't expect the same, they lose.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way you can go at it, because there's no way that you can go into that game thinking it doesn't matter as much as this one.
Yeah.
City are still on for a treble.
Yeah.
Liverpool obviously are on for an unprecedented quadruple. So you can't relax. I don't think anyone was thinking about that game today, fortunately. But no, obviously with Champions League coming up in midweek, No, I'll be there at Wembley.
Yeah, oh, well, we'll be there as well. We'll be there. And no Murray as well. Matchday Live, of course, will be with you every step of the way as well. Now, earlier on before the game, our dear friend Stephen McInerney is over in Seoul, and he has been celebrating with some of the City fans over there. Stephen, how was that for you?
Kel, I still need to catch my breath, mate. We're still here in Seoul with Next and Tyre. That was the most sensational game of football I've seen in ages. I'm exhausted emotionally, physically, but that was an incredible battle, and ultimately we are still top of the league. Serkin, how are you feeling after that, mate?
Oh, so it is incredible night and so good game. I think it's so tough to get the first of the league.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Liverpool are a fantastic side, but Manchester City might be in. They deserve to win that. It didn't happen tonight, but you guys, are you happy with that? Was it? You know what? I'm knackered and exhausted, but I needed to hear that. That was the that got me going again. But that was a wonderful night here in Seoul with Next and Tyre. City, of course, we didn't win tonight. I think we deserved to win, I'm going to be honest. But the most important thing is we are still top of the league. We are still favourites of the league, and that's all that matters. Come on, Kel. Come on, City. Come on, City.
Oh, thank you, Stephen, and thank you to all those fans as well. It's so brilliant to see the City fans and communities around the world. He's over there in Seoul, of course, with Next and Tyre as well, who are, of course, a partner of the club. You can see there on the bottom of the screen, next up, the second leg of that Champions League fixture against Atletico Madrid over in Madrid. Of course, the score currently stands on aggregate at 1-0 to City. David, we saw kind of how the game went down here. I know you were on Matchday Live. It was very defensive from Atletico Madrid. They're obviously going to have to come out a little bit more, which I guess could lean into City's hands a little bit.
Yeah, I think, I mean, their defence was because of City's control of the game. Like I said before the show, I mean, they just suffocated them, and I think they were forced into playing a formation or formations which they hadn't planned to do. They'd probably trained for it, but not hoped to play that way in the game. They lost yesterday 1-0. Yeah. So, but that Suarez, it's interesting. Suarez was up front, and we said on Matchday Live that you wouldn't have Suarez on unless you wanted a keeper lead, and maybe they were resting a couple of players. But yeah, City play like this. They play like they played against Athletic in the first game. Then City will go through, but they've got to be wary that, like Liverpool, Atletico Madrid do have goal threats.
They do pose a threat, don't they, Shaun? And I guess as well, though, as David said, the quality is there. Yeah. But I think as well, it's going to be a lot of the mental side of the game as well. We know there's kind of maybe, we know what a Diego Simeone side is like, and I guess the mental side of the game is going to be just as important.
Just as important. But the one thing we know, Diego Simeone wants to have a combative game. He'll get his players riled up. He'll get the crowd into it. And I think it's funny because Atletico Madrid, they're probably a little bit like Liverpool when they're at Anfield. The fans get involved. And I think it's important from City's point of view. It's about control again. Yeah. Control and trying to keep the crowd out of the game. The longer they can keep it, the longer then perhaps the impatience from Atletico, players will start to step forward when they're not supposed to, and perhaps we can pick them off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, don't forget, Matchday Live is going to be here for you for that game as well. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you both we were asked the question on WhatsApp about who we thought might be the man of the match or the MVP today. Who was the standout performer for you?
How'd you go for man of the match? I think it was between Rodri, Bernardo Silva.
Yep.
I'm going to go for Rodri.
Rodri, nice.
I thought that midfield at time. Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to go for.
Yeah,
Rodri,
KDB
nice.
for me. Yeah, big goals, big game. Obviously scoring early on, but then being able to, even in the end of the game, so he's driving. He's the one putting Mahrez in. Again, big moments of the game. He's just delivering these passes, key situations. And it seems easy. See, people they just always say Kevin De Bruyne. The guy really is just that fantastic. He really is.
He is. And how lucky we are, Kevin De Bruyne. We love you. Well, listen, gentlemen, what a game of football. It definitely lived up to the hype. And let's not forget, Manchester City are still top of the league by 1 point. It is in our hands. So fingers crossed for this final run in now. We will be celebrating another Premier League trophy in 5 years, fingers crossed, but 7 big games to go now. David James, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Shaun Gota, thank you so much as well. We'll be back with you for the Atletico Madrid game, as I say. But for now, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you in the week. Take care.